Hello everyone. I Neha Patil welcome you all in today's session. Today we are going to see the next three units of the fundamentals of data structures, that is unit number 4, 5 and 6. In the previous video we have covered the important points from the unit 1 to 3 and some important MCQs we have discussed. In today's video we'll see unit number 4, which is linked list, then unit number 5, which is related with the stack, and unit number 6, which is related with the queue. So first we'll see some important points from these units and then we'll discuss some MCQs. Here I'm discussing only some sample MCQs. So don't think that these same MCQs will come for the examination. These are just the sample MCQs. So this is the syllabus related with the fourth unit, which is related with the linked list. So among the linked list, whatever be the highlighted points here in the green color, these points are very important. So give focus on these points. The first point is like introduction to static and dynamic memory allocation. So you must know the difference between the static memory allocation and the dynamic memory allocation. Then you must know the basic concept of the linked list. That means what is meant by linked list, how the node structure will be there, and then the operations on the different types of linked list. So if you see, I have highlighted here like the create, traverse, search, insert, delete, sort, concatenation. These are the different operations you must know. And if you know these operations in detail related with the single linked list, then you can easily relate it with the doubly linked list or the circular linked list or the circular doubly linked list there. So your basic concept should be clear related with the linked list. And then the next important point is related with the generalized linked list. So theoretically, you must know how the generalized linked list we are going to create and polynomial using the generalized linked list. So we'll see here some important points from these units. So linked list. Before directly starting with the linked list, first you should know the difference between the array and linked list, because based on these points, in your MCQ examination, the questions will be asked. So in array, you must know that array is of fixed size. So that's why resizing is very expensive. But in the linked list, the dynamic size is there. As per the user's requirement, we are going to allocate the memory and the deallocate the memory. Then in case of array, insertion and deletion operations are inefficient. These are not easy operations. But in case of the linked list, insertion and deletions are very much efficient. How this is, that we will see further. But the main advantage of the array is what? Random access. This is the major advantage of the array. But in the linked list, sequential access is present. So this we can say one of the drawback with the linked list. Then in case of the array, no memory wastage if the array is full or almost full. But otherwise, it may result in the much memory wastage. But in case of the linked list, as we are going to allocate the memory dynamically, so no memory wastage is there. So this is the major advantage of the linked list. In case of the array, sequential access is faster because by using the index locations, we are going to directly access the elements there. But in case of the linked list, sequential access is the low. So these are the some differences between the array and the linked list. You must know. Based on this, in your MCQ examination, questions will be asked. Then now we'll start with the what is meant by linked list. So linked list is nothing but what? It is a linear data structure, or we can say like it is a collection of nodes where each node contains minimum two parts there. One is the data part is there, that means whatever the data we want to store in that node, and one is nothing but what the address part is there. This address field, or here I have given the name like the next also there. So this address field is going to contain address of the next node in the linked list. As we are saying, the linked list is nothing but what? It is a collection of nodes, and each node is having minimum two fields here. One data field is there and the one address field is there, and that address field is always going to contain address of the next node present in the linked list. So this is a sample linked list I have shown here. The first node in the linked list we are going to mark with the head node, which is going to tell us from which node the linked list is going to start. And if you see here, this is the last node. Last node's address field is always null here. So which is going to tell us that the end of the linked list. So to indicate the end of the linked list, the last node's address field should be null. And to indicate the beginning of the linked list, the first node, we have to point with the head pointer here. There are the different types of linked list: single linked list, doubly linked list, and the circular linked list. So here in this video, we'll see in detail about the single linked list. If you understand this, then you can easily relate the same concept with the doubly linked list and the circular linked list. So we'll see related with the single linked list. These are the some operations which we can apply. That is the creation, insertion, deletion, display, search, sort, reverse, merge. These different operations we can apply on any type of the linked list. So now, in case of the single linked list, here only one address field is present. And that address field is going to contain the address of the next node present in the linked list. And the last node's address field is always null in case of the single linked list, which is going to tell us that that is the end of the linked list. And here also, again, the first node we are going to point with the head pointer. So same thing is here. Now, whenever we want to create a linked list here, so first what we have to do here, first we have to create a node, because linked list is nothing but a collection of nodes. So one by one node we have to create, and that node we have to attach in the linked list. So here we'll see how to create a node in the linked list. So we know that the node structure is nothing but what? For the single linked list is going to contain the two fields there. One is the data field and one is the address field is there. So first we have to write a structure for the node. So I have written here the structure like the struct keyword. Then the name I have given like the node here. You can give here any other name also there. But as we are saying, like the linked list is nothing but the collection of nodes. So I'm giving here the name like the node here. Then I have taken here the one data field, that is the integer data. As per your requirement, you can take here the more number of data fields also there. But address field should be the one in case of the single linked list. And this address field, if you have seen here the declaration, node pointer next I have declared here. So this next address field should be of the type here the structure, because it is going to contain the address of the next node present in the linked list there. So the return type should be what here? The structure name here and the pointer sign here. So this is what the structure related with the node here. And here I have initialized this head is equal to null, which will indicate like the initially the linked list is the empty. So this is the node structure for a single linked list. Now, for after declaring the structure here, now if we want to create a node here, then how to create a node here? So these are the 3 steps for the node creation. And these 3 steps here, whatever the first instruction is there, temp is equal to new node. Here I am assuming the C++ reference here. So that's why here I have used here the new operator for the memory allocation. And this new operator is nothing but the dynamic memory allocation operator is there. Temp is the name I'm giving to this location. So temp is equal to new node. So whenever this instruction will be executed, the memory will be allocated depending on the structure for this particular node, and name will be given like the temp here. Then as in the structure declaration, we have used here the 2 fields here. One is the data field and one is the address field here. So in these locations now we have to assign a value from the user. So I'm assigning temp next is equal to null. So initially I'm assuming like the address field is the null, because it is the only the node creation is there. So it is not going to contain any address there. And C in temp data means what here? I'm accepting the value from the user and directly I'm going to store in the temp nodes data field here. This is nothing but what the data field is there. In the temp nodes data field, I'm going to store this value, suppose the 10 here. So this is what you are the temporary node creation, which is having the value 10 and the address field is initially null here. Now, after creating a single node, now we'll see how the linked list will be created here. So for the linked list creation here, I'm initializing the head is equal to null, which is nothing but what the initially the list is empty we are assuming. Then I have created here the same node here. Temp is equal to new node, scene temp data, temp next is equal to null. That means what? I have created this node here. After creating this node here, now what we have to do here? We have to attach this node as a first node in the linked list. So we have to mark this node as a head node. So first I'm checking here the condition if the head is equal to null. That means if the linked list is initially empty, we are going to execute head is equal to 10. That means this node we are going to rename with the head pointer here. So this node now will become the head node in the linked list there. So this head is equal to temp sequence is important. Don't write like the temp is equal to head because initially your head is null. So this node will become the null if you are going to reversely initialize there. Initialize like the head is equal to temp because temp is having these values here. So these values will be assigned to the head pointer here. So in this way, we have now created a list of a single node that is nothing but the head node. And now if we want to create more number of nodes in the linked list, then this is the code actually I have written here. What we are doing here, up to this it is the same. If the head is equal to null, head is equal to temp, up to this it is the same here. Next time if I am creating the second node, that means same instructions I am executing. Temp is equal to new node, scene temp data, temp next is equal to null. That means now suppose I have created this 20 here. After that, it will again check the condition if the head is equal to null. Now this condition will get false here because head is already created here. So it will come inside the else part here. And inside the else part now, what I have written here? I have written here the while loop. So if you are able to see here, this while temp1 next is not equal to null. Temp1 is equal to temp1 next. So what I am doing with this while loop here, actually I want to traverse the list till the last node present in the list because I don't know how many nodes are present in the original list there. I want to attach this 20 in the linked list, but I don't know in the original linked list whether only the 10 is present or 20 or more nodes are present in the linked list. So first what we have to do here, till the last node present in the list, we have to traverse the list here. So how here we have to assume that which is the last node in the linked list here. We know that always in the single linked list, the last node's address field is the null. So by making use of that condition, I'm writing here the condition like while temp1 next is not equal to null, temp1 is equal to temp1 next. So that means this temp1 pointer, I'm shifting till the last node here. And whenever it will reach at the last node, I know that this is the temp and this is now the temp1. Because the new node, whatever I want to attach in the linked list, that is having the name like the temp, and the last node in the original linked list having the name like the temp1. So temp1 next is equal to temp. Means what here? The last node's address field only I have to change with the address of this temporary node here. So this instruction temp1 next is equal to temp. So by this instruction, what will happen? The link will be established between the original last node and the new node here. And the new node will be added into the linked list. So with this code, you can add any number of nodes in the single linked list. So hope you understood this create function here. And now, if we want to display the linked list here, then what we have to do here? As we know that we are having head pointer with us, which is going to tell us like the starting or the beginning of the linked list. And we know that in the single linked list, last node's address field is always null here. So with the help of these two conditions here, we can easily write here the code like if you are able to see here. I have taken here the temporary pointer. I'm going to initialize it to the head node. And while temp is not equal to null, just print the data, that is cout temp data. Only whatever the value present at that location that we have to print here and just shift that pointer here. So if you are able to see here, by this code here, we'll get the output like the 10 and the 20 in our case here. So this is what the display function. Now, related with the single linked list, now we'll see two more operations here. One is the insertion and one is the deletion. So for the insertion, again, there are the three cases are there. So insertion at the beginning, insertion at the end, and insertion after a particular node here. Here I'm explaining you all these operations like the create operation, display operation, insertion, deletion of the single linked list with the help of a code here, because sometimes in your online examination, they will give you the coding part there. They will give you one function code there and they will ask you the question, what is the output of this code or what is the error present in this code. So at that time, you must understand for which purpose that code is given. So every time, whenever you are going to try for any operation of the single linked list, then draw a linked list in front of you with the help of the pen or the pencil, and then try to write the code on your own there for the create function, for the insert function, for the delete function, so that you can easily understand which links we have to establish, which original links we have to change. If you practice this way, then there is no need to mug up the code there. You can easily understand for which purpose this coding part is given there, what will be the output for that code, or what will be the error in that code there. So every time while doing the practice for the linked list, draw the linked list in front of you, and according to that, try to write down the instructions there. So now once again, we'll come back here for the insertion. Now for the insertion at the beginning here, these are the, we can say, steps here. So first step is what here? Make the next pointer of the new node point towards the first node of the list here. That means for the original list here. And make the head pointer point towards this new node here. And if the list is empty, simply make the head pointer point towards the new node here. But we are assuming like the linked list is not empty, already one list is empty, and one more node we want to add in the first position there. So see here, by this figure, you can easily understand this 10, 20 is the original linked list. This 10 is the thing, but the head node is there. And 5 I want to add here. So if I want to add this 5 as a new head node in this linked list, that means first what I have to do here, this 5's address field should contain the address of this 10 here. That means this link first we have to establish, because this 5 is originally free node and the linked list is present from the 10 to 20. So first establish the link between the 5 and the 10. That means make the connection between the 5 and the 10. And then whatever be the head pointer originally present here at this 10 here, shift this from this 10 to the 5 here like this way. So that what will happen, this 5 will become the new head node there. So first is what? First write down the connection or make the connection between the 5 and the 10 and shift the head pointer from the 10 to 5 here. So this is only what the insertion at the beginning. So if you draw like this way, then you can easily understand what instructions we have to write here. So see now here the code. Node pointer temp is equal to P, temp1 is equal to head, temp next is equal to head, and head is equal to temp here. This temp next is nothing but what? The temp is nothing but what? 5 in our case. So 5's address field I am going to set to the head. Head is originally what? 10 here. And head is equal to temp here. That means that head I am shifting from 10 to 5 here. Over. This is what you are the insertion in the beginning here. Now insertion at the last here. So insertion at the last is exactly similar to our the create function of the single linked list. In case of the creation also, what we have seen here, every time new node we are going to add in at the end of the list there. So same thing is there. Traverse the list till the last node of the list, and then between the last node and the new node we have to just establish the link here. So see here, this is the original linked list, 10 and the 20. I want to insert this 30 at the end here. So at the end, if I want to attach this 30, that means what we have to do here, we have to establish the link between the 20 and the 30. But I have only one pointer with me, that is the head, which is always at the first position. But I don't know where this 20 is located. So for this purpose, take one temporary pointer, initialize it to the head node, and traverse it till the last node. How you will come to know that which is the last node in the single linked list? We know that last node's address field is always null here. So by making use of that condition, traverse the list till this last node, and then you can easily establish the link between the last node and the new node here. So same we are going to do here. Here this temp1 extra pointer we have taken, we have initialized it to the head node. We are traversing the list here. See this, while temp1 is not equal to null, temp1 is equal to temp1 next here. So here temp1 is not equal to null will not come here. Actually by mistakenly I have written here. Sorry for that. Here the condition should be temp1 next is not equal to null. It should come like temp1 next is not equal to null. Temp1 is equal to temp1 next, because Whenever the temp one will reach at the last node, we have to stop there. If I'm executing this same condition, temp one is not equal to null, your temp one will be shifted outside the list there. That we don't want here. So write here the condition like while temp one next is not equal to null. By mistakenly, I have not forgot to write here, but you write here like the while temp one next is not equal to null, temp one is equal to temp one next. And then after that, temp one next is equal to temp. What it will do? It will establish the link between the last node and the new node over. This is what the insertion at the last position. And now insert in between, or we can say like a insertion after a particular node here. So insertion after a particular node we can do by the two ways there. One way is nothing but what? By asking position to the user where you want to insert the new node, we can do this insertion, or we can ask the user after which value you want to insert the new value. So by these two ways, we can implement the insertion after a particular node or or at a particular position there. So for that purpose, we have to traverse the list till that position or the value, and then make the next pointer of the node to be inserted, point to the next node of the node after which you want to insert the node, and make the next pointer of the node after which the node is to be inserted, point to the inserted. So we'll see the diagram, then you can easily understand. See here, this 10, 30 is original list actually, and 20 I want to insert here after this 10 here. So if I want to insert this 20 after this 10 here, that means what I have to do here, I have to establish these two new links here, whatever highlighted in the green color here. Original link is between 10 and the 30, but we have to break that link, and new link we have to establish between the 10 to 20 and the 20 to 30. This is called like the insertion in between there. So if we want to do this, then for this purpose, first what we have to do here, traverse the list first till this 10 here. If I want to insert this 20 after this 10 here, that means first I should know where this 10 is present. Then what I can do here, I can establish the link between the 20 and the 30 and the 10 and the 20 here. So this we can do like this. I'll show you the code. So here, actually I am going to show you the two codes here. This code is for what? If I want to insert at a particular position, I'm accepting here the position from the user. This POS variable is nothing but what? The location at the second location or the third location or the fourth location, that I'm accepting inside this position variable. And then what I'm doing here, I'm just traversing the list till that position, and then I'm going to establish the link between these previous node and the next node for that position. So this is the code related with actually the position there. And one more code I have written here after a particular value here. If I'm asking the user after which value you want to insert there, because I don't know which values are present in the linked list there. So first I have to search that value, whether it is present in the linked list or not there. So for that purpose, I'm traversing the list here. And while traversing, every time I'm checking if the temp one data is equal to value. This value is nothing but after which I want to insert the new node there. So if that value is present in the linked list, then what I'm doing here, I'm taking one more pointer, that is the temp2, and I'm initializing it to the next node here after the temp1 here. Means what here? Like in our case, 10, 30 and the 20. These are the three nodes here. Original link is between the 10 and the 30. I want to insert the 20 as a new node here. So this temp2 I'm setting to the 30 here. Because if I want to establish the link between the 20 and the 30, this right side link here, then I should know the name for the 30 here. So for that purpose, I'm taking this temp2 pointer here. I'm initializing it to the 30. And then temp1 next is equal to temp, and temp next is equal to temp2, which will establish these two links are nothing but what? One link is between 10 to 20 and another link is between the 20 to 30 here. Over. This we have to do here. This is called like the insertion after a particular value here. So you should know this code also. Based on these codes, they can ask you the question in your online examination. Now, similarly like the insertion, now we can implement the deletion also related with the single linked list. So for the deletion also, again, there are the three cases. Delete the first node, delete the last node and the intermediate node. So these two cases actually work similarly, the last node and the intermediate node. Only the code will change for the deletion for the first node. So now we'll see one by one. So here, this is the deletion for the first node. Original link is between the 10 and the 20. I want to delete this 10 here. That means what should happen here? The head pointer we have to shift from the 10 to 20 here. That is the only thing here. And this 10 we have to mark as a free node, and then we can easily delete this 10 here. So just shift the head pointer from the first node to the second node and make this node as a free node and delete it here. That is the thing only here. So this is the code. Take one temporary pointer, initialize it to the head node, and head is equal to temp1 next. That means I'm shifting this head pointer from the original position to the next position here and delete the temp1. So this is the temp1 we are going to delete here. So this is the only thing here. And now deletion for the last node here. So deletion for the last node is actually nothing but what? Making the second last node's next pointer point to the null here. This is the last node suppose present in the original linked list here. So this node I want to delete here. So if I want to delete this node here, so what I have to do here, whatever the previous node for this node, like in this case 10 is there. So this node's next address field only I have to set it to the null. So that next time it will become the last node in the new list here. So for this, actually what we have to do here, traverse the list first here till the second last node and the last node here. And then just second last node's last address field, next address field we have to set to the null here, and then delete that the node which you want to delete here. So this is the code actually related with the deletion for the last position here. And now this is very important. Chart is there. You have to always remember this chart here. Here I have written here the complexity related with the array also and related with the single linked list also. So here operations are written and here the complexities are written. So this is very important. You have to remember this very carefully. Based on this, they can frame the questions in your online examination. So see here, if I want to implement insertion at the beginning operation, then in case of the array, complexity is the big O of n, not the 1 here. Big O of n is there. And in case of the single linked list, it is just the big O of 1 here. Here, why it is coming like the big O of n here? Because we know that in case of the array, insertion and the deletion is costly. Because every time we have to do the shifting there. That's why here the time complexity is in terms of the big O of n here. And here insertion at the end is very easy in case of the array here. It is coming like the big O of 1 here. Because in array, random access is present. So I can directly go to that position. And the last node deletion doesn't require any shifting there. So that's why it is coming like the big O of 1. But here, in case of the single linked list, if the tail reference is given, it is the big O of 1. That means if I'm having the tail pointer with me separately, then it will directly come like the big O of 1. But if no tail pointer is present, then big O of n is there. Normally, we are not using the tail pointer. So you have to remember that in case of the single linked list, insertion at the end, the time complexity is the big O of n. Then for the middle, in both the cases, in case of the array also and in case of the single linked list also, big O of n is there, because here in case of the array, again the shifting is required. That's why the big O of n is there. And in case of the single linked list, sequential access is there. That's why the big O of n is there. Similarly, deletion at the beginning. Again, in case of the array, though it is the beginning, but again, it is the big O of n because shifting is required. But in case of the single linked list, as it is the deletion from the first position, so directly it will come like the big O of 1. Then deletion at the end. Here big O of 1 in case of the array, but in case of the single linked list, it will come like the big O of n. Deletion at the middle. In both the cases, it is the big O of n is there. For the searching, now in array, for the linear search and the binary search, the time complexity is different. For the linear search, it will come like the big O of n, and for the binary search, it is coming like the big O of log n there. But always in case of the single linked list, it's the big O of n is there due to the sequential access. And here related with the indexing, what is the element at a given position? If we want to find out that, it is the big O of 1 because it is the random access is possible. And here big O of n because the sequential access is there. So remember this chart very carefully. Okay. So from that, fourth unit, we have seen all the operations related with the single linked list. Try to implement the same operations related with the doubly linked list also and the circular linked list also. Same concept is there, only the pointers will change there. So now instead of that, taking that part, I'm going to take the next unit here, which is related with the stack here. So from the stack here, you must know what is the basic concept of stack, what are the basic operations we are going to implement on the stack, and then the applications of stack is very, very, very important. Based on this, they can ask you the number of questions related in this unit here. So now we'll see the important points here. So stack is nothing but what? LIFO structure. This always you have to remember here. Last in, first out structure present in the stack here, because in stack only one end is present. From that end, we are going to add the items also and we are going to delete the items also. So lastly added item, we are going to delete first. So it is called like the LIFO property, last in, first out. These are the two basic operations which we can apply on the stack, that is the push and the pop. Push is nothing but the insertion and pop is nothing but what? The deletion. This is the top end actually. I have inserted here 10, 20 and the 30. So 30 is nothing but whatever the top end is there. So this is the push operation. Original stack is like 10, 20. So top is at the 20. If I want to insert the 30, then after insertion of the 30, top will be shifted from 20 to 30 here. Okay. Similarly, for the pop operation, original stack top end is at the 30. I'm going to delete this 30 here. So after deletion of the 30, your top is shifted to the 20 again back here. So that means top is going to decrement here. So now the stack implementation we can do with the help of the array also and with the help of the linked list also. Both ways we'll see here. So we'll see the operations push, pop and display using the array and using the linked list now. So this is the using array. Using array is nothing but what? It's very simple. Only one array we have to take here to hold these atoms, stack atoms here. And one top end we have to take here. That top end is normal, integer top variable we have to take here, which will point to this position, topmost position. And here only inside this array, whenever we want to do the push operation, we have to just increment the top end and we have to insert the value at that position here. So if you are able to see here, top plus plus and st of top is equal to x here. St is nothing but this array name is there. And where I want to insert here at the top position, I'm not writing here like the 0, 1, 2, 3. Always we know that the insertion in case of the stack is always we have to do from the top end here. So st of top is equal to x. X is nothing but the value which I want to insert there. So only two statements are there, top plus plus. First we have to increment the top in case of the push. And then in that position, we have to insert the value. So this sequence is very important. Don't write like st of top is equal to x and after that top plus plus. This will not work here. First increment this top end so that it will point to the next position. And then in that position, you have to insert this 30 here. Exactly reverse case for the pop here. Whatever the value you want to delete there, first take out that value in some variable, that is this x is equal to st of top, and decrement the top end so that it will point to the next topmost element, that is the 20 here. So top minus minus. So again, this sequence is important. First x is equal to st of top, that means take the topmost value in some variable and decrement the top end. So decrementation is there in case of the pop, and in case of the push, top plus plus, that means the incrementation is there. But the sequence is like this way. In the display, simply by using the for loop from the top to the 0th position, whatever the value is present in that stack, that we have to just display. And now stack implementation using linked list here. This is somewhat different here as compared to the array here. So see here, this is the push operation using the linked list here. So as we are going to implement here the push using the linked list here, so first create a node, accept the value from the user, initialize the next field to the null here, that means create a temporary node here. And if the stack is initially empty, mark that node as a top node here. That means like in the single linked list, the first node is always called like the head node. So here, in case of the stack here, the last node, we are going to point to the top here. So give the name like the top here. Else here, that means if I want to do the new push operation, or if I want to insert the new value here, Then every time what we have to do here, temp next is equal to top here. See here. This is now the temp. Temp next is equal to top. So it will actually look like a downward arrow here. And shift the top pointer from this 10 to the 20 here. That is the top is equal to temp here. So this is only what the push operation using the linked list here. Similarly, pop here. First, whenever you want to implement or delete any value from the stack using the linked list here, first shift this top pointer from this position to this position. That means to the next position. And make this node as a free node and delete that node here. So same thing I'm doing here. I'm taking temporary pointer, I'm initializing it to the top here. That means to this 30. Top is equal to top next. That means top will point to the 20 and delete the 10. And delete this node simply here. So this is what pop using linked list. So what is meant by overflow, underflow, that now you know. So I'm not going to go for that. Now these are the applications. So these applications you have to remember very carefully. First application is related with the expression conversion. So under this expression conversion, all these 6 conversions you must know. Try to convert all these expression conversions with the help of the example. This is very important here. Now in this video, I'm going to cover the infix to postfix conversion, but I have already created the videos for all these remaining conversions. So please watch that video so your conversion expression conversion concept will be clear there. So these conversions are very important. In your online examination, they will give you expression in one form and they will ask you what is the another form of this expression. So you must know the conversion, then only you can easily find out that. So watch all that videos related with the expression conversion. Now in this video, I'll cover the infix to postfix conversion. And these are the other applications also, like the expression evaluation, decimal to binary conversion, simulation of the recursion. Always you have to remember, in case of the recursion, always stack is used. And for the function call, always the stack is used there. So these are the some applications of the stack. So see here, this is the infix to postfix conversion. Whenever you want to, this is the expression I have taken here, like the 2 plus 4 minus 1 into 3 here with the parenthesis. Some parentheses are present here. And output should be like 2, 4, 1 minus 3 into plus. This is the postfix format actually. So here I have taken example of the integer data. They can ask you related with the character data also. So always you have to make the table like this way. Current symbol, action, then the stack status and the postfix expression. Always you have to remember here that in case of the expression conversion from infix to postfix, on the stack we are going to push the operators. And this postfix expression is actually nothing but what the array which is going to hold the output there. So as here the first parenthesis is there, so directly I'm going to push it onto the stack. Next is the 2, so I'm directly assigning in the array here. Next is the plus operator. I'm going to push directly onto the stack. Next is again the opening parenthesis. Again push it directly onto the stack. Next is the 4. Push it into the postfix expression. Next is the minus operator. So here, as here on the stack here, opening parenthesis is there. So directly I'm pushing this minus onto the stack here. Then the 1 is there. So it is going in the in the postfix expression here. Then the closing bracket is coming. So whenever the closing is coming till this opening, whatever the operators present onto the stack, that we have to delete and we have to pass to the postfix expression. So I'm deleting this minus, I'm assigning that minus into the postfix expression. Next is nothing but what here the multiplication is there. So directly I'm pushing it onto the stack here. Next is the 3. So it is going here in the postfix expression. Now the closing comes here. So whenever the closing comes here, whatever with the operators present onto the stack, one by one we have to delete and we have to assign it to the postfix expression. So firstly multiplication will come, then the plus will come here and opening will be cancelled with the closing here. So the final expression is like 241 minus 3 into plus here. So this is what the infix to postfix conversion. But in this conversion, the priority of the operators is very important. You must know the priority of operators. Already in the previous video, we have seen that priority concept there. So if you know the priority, then you can easily understand which operators we have to push onto the stack, which operators we have to delete from the stack there. So for this, again, I will suggest that you watch the videos, my videos related with the infix to all the conversions there, so that you can easily understand this topic here. Now the last unit is related with the queue. So again, in the queue, you must know the basic concept between the queue or of the queue, difference between the stack and the queue, different types of the queue, and operations on the queue here. So now we'll see in short here. So queue is nothing but what? The first in, first out property. And common example of a queue is nothing but what? People waiting in the line at the ticket window here. This is the standard example for the queue here. So queue always, like in the stack, only one end is present, but in the queue, as it is the first in, first out, so two ends are present here. The one end we are calling like the front end, another end we are calling like the rear end. And always you have to remember, rear end we are going to use for the insertion purpose, and front end we are going to use for the deletion purpose here. And types of the queues are nothing but what? Circular queue, D queue, priority queue. These are the different types of the queue there. So insertion is always from the rear end, deletion is always from the front end. And now we'll see some operations here. So in case of the array representation of a queue we can implement again with the help of the two ways, with the help of the array also and with the help of the linked list also. So whenever we are seeing the array representation of a queue here, we have to initialize front and rear both to the -1 here, because array always starts from the 0th position here. So if the initially the empty queue is there, then we are assuming like the front is equal to -1 and the rear is equal to -1. And now these are the different operations I have mentioned here. If only one element is present in the queue at the first position, then your front and rear both are at the same position, that is at the 0th position. After doing some insertions here, if you are able to see, only rear is shifted, but front is at the same position. Front we have not shifted. Only rear we have shifted here, because why? We are going to do the insertion from the rear end there. Then after deletion of the some few elements here, if you are able to see, I have deleted 10, I have deleted the 20 here. So my front is now shifted to this third position, that is at the 30 here, because deletion we are going to do from the front end here. Now here, front and rear both are at the same position. That means only one element is present in the queue here. And if you are able to see here, now the rear is at the last position. This is the max -1 is nothing but the last position actually. And front, if you are able to see, it is at the index 1. That means actually at the second position here. That means this 0th position is empty. But though this 0th position is empty, we are saying like the queue full. Why? Because here we are implementing the linear queue. And in case of the linear queue, if your rear end is at the last position, that means we are assuming like the queue is the full. Though here some positions are empty in the initially, but as the rear is at the last position, we are saying like the queue full is there. Okay. So this is what actually one of the drawback related with the linear queue. So these are the operations actually. For the insertion, always you have to remember here, like as we are going to do the insertion from the rear end, so increment the rear end and then insert the value at that position. That is the rear plus plus and q of rear is equal to value. Then for the deletion here, what we have to do here, whatever be the value present at the front end, that is the q of front. First you have to display that and then increment the front so that it will point to the next position. That is the front plus plus. And the main limitation, as I told you in the linear queue, is nothing but what? It creates a scenario where no new element can be added in the queue, even if the queue contains the empty spaces as shown in the previous figure there. So this is the major drawback related with the linear queue. So applications of the queue is nothing but what? CPU scheduling is the main application, or we can say like whatever the real life examples are there, like the railway ticket reservation, banking system. These are the some applications are there. Now the circular queue. So this is the circular queue. Circular queue is nothing but what? The advancement or the another type of the linear queue or the type of the queue. And this is what here the, to overcome the disadvantage of the linear queue, we are here seeing the new concept, that is the circular queue. In circular queue, memory efficiency is there. As we have seen in the linear queue, that if the some spaces are deleted there, then that spaces we are not able to use efficiently there. But that spaces we can use here with the help of a circular queue here. So for this purpose here, always in case of a circular queue here. Now see here, I'll show you the code afterwards. First see these cases here. This first case is exactly similar in the linear queue also and in the circular queue also, as the both front and rear at the first position. Again here, after doing the same insertions, again rear is incrementing, front is at the same position. This is also same. After deleting some few elements, again the same case like the linear queue there. Now here, if you are able to see here, in the case D here, my rear is at the last position and my front is actually at the second index here. That means at the third position here. After this now, if I want to do the new insertion, then if you are able to see this E case is there. From this rear, from this last position, my rear is shifted to this 0th position. This is actually the circular queue is there. After the rear, in case of the linear queue, we have seen that if the rear is at the last position, we are not able to do the insertion in this first place there. But here, in case of the linear queue, circular queue, we have shifted this rear from the last to the 0th position, and I have done the new insertion like the 5 here. And in the last case, if you are able to see here, I have done the insertion for the 6 also, 7 also, and now my queue is the full here. So in case of the circular queue, when your queue is going to become the full here, there are the two cases again. If your front is at the 0th position and rear is at the last position, then that is also one case valid in case of the circular queue. Otherwise, if the same condition or the situation is like this way, if your front is one position behind the rear, then your queue is the full. So this always you have to remember here in case of the circular queue. When you are the circular queue will be the full when your front is one position behind the rear. This is one case. Or if the front is at the 0th position and rear is at the last position, then your queue can be the full there. So these queue full conditions always you have to remember related with the circular queue. And see here, that only I have written here. And these are the two formulas again you have to remember related with the circular queue. If you want to find out the total number of elements present in the circular queue, again there are the two cases are there. If your front is less than rear and if your front is greater than rear. If your front is less than rear, then use the formula like rear minus front plus 1. And if your front is greater than rear, then use the formula like max is nothing but the size of that array plus rear minus front plus 1 here. So these two formulas again you have to remember very carefully. Based on this, again the question will be asked in your online examination for calculation of number of elements present in the circular queue there. And this is the code actually. And always you have to remember, like in case of the circular queue, always the modular incrementation is there. So instead of writing like the rear is equal to rear plus 1, always we are writing like the rear plus 1 mod size is there. Again, the separate videos already I have created related with this circular queue, linear queue, double-ended queue. In detail, you can watch that videos. But here only I am going to explain you the in short here. So this is related with the deletion. So in the deletion also, whenever we want to increment the front end here. So instead of the normal incrementation, again we are taking here the modular incrementation. So here, this is the conclusion related with the circular queue actually, or we can say these are the advantages with as compared to the linear queue. That is the easy insertion and deletion, efficient memory utilization, and ease of the operations. These are the three advantages of the circular queue. And now related with the DQ. DQ is the short form of the double-ended queue. So as the name indicates, double-ended queue, both ends here, front end and the rear end, we can use for the insertion also and the deletion also. So if you are able to see here, at the front end also I have shown here the insertion deletion, at the rear end also I have shown here the insertion and the deletion. So in case of the linear queue, only two basic operations are there: insertion from the rear end, deletion from the front end. But in case of the double-ended queue, 4 operations we can implement there: insertion from the both ends, deletion from the both ends there. So this is the insert from the front. So when you can do the insertion in the beginning here, that means from the front here, if your front is greater than 0, then only you can do the insertion from the front position. And then in that case, you can do like this way: f minus minus a of f is equal to x here. That means first you have to decrement the front end, and then to that position you can insert the new value there. This is insertion at the end here. It is exactly similar to the normal operation here, that is the rear plus plus and a of r is equal to x here. This is the normal operation. Then deletion from the beginning of the queue here. That means delete front is exactly similar to the linear queue deletion here. That is x is equal to a of f and a plus plus is there. And deletion from the rear end, here what we have to do here, x is equal to a of r and r minus minus only we have to do here. So these four operations we can implement on the double-ended queue. And these are the variations of the DQ. This again you have to remember here, input restricted DQ and the output restricted DQ. These are the two variations of the DQ. So input restricted is nothing but what? As the name indicates here, the input restricted DQ here, it allows insertion of elements at one end only. Insertion, if you are able to see, only from the one end, that is the rear end is there. That's why it is called like the input restricted DQ, but deletion is possible at both ends here. This is the input restricted. That means three operations we can totally implement here. One insertion, two deletions there. And in case of the output restricted DQ here, as the name indicates, like the output restricted. So output, that means deletion operation is only at the one end, but insertion is possible at both the ends here. So again, three operations are there. One deletion, two insertion here. This is called like the output restricted DQ. So related with this here, again, separate videos already I have uploaded on my channel here. So for in detail explanation, again, you can watch that videos. Now we'll discuss here some MCQs related with these three units here. So only some sample MCQs I'm going to show you here. So see, this is the first question. What is the time complexity to count the number of elements present in the linked list? So as you know that in case of the linked list here, as the sequential axis is there, so obviously the answer will be like the big O of n there. Then the C here. Second question. In the worst case, the number of comparisons needed to search a single linked list of length n for a given element is what? Again, the worst case is asked here to the number of comparisons needed to search a single linked list. So obviously n is there. Let P be a single linked list. Let Q be the pointer to an intermediate node X in the list. What is the worst case time complexity of the best known algorithm to delete the node X from the list here? So answer for this is nothing but what the D, that is the big O of 1 here. Then what is the worst case time complexity of insertion n elements into an empty linked list if the linked list needs to be maintained in the sorted order? So for this question, actually read this question very carefully. Actually here what is asked here, worst case time complexity for the insertion of n elements into the empty linked list there. And here we want to maintain the sorted order there. So here two ways we can do here. At the time of the insertion, we can do the sorting, or after inserting all values in the in the linked list, after that we can do the sorting. So actually the two answers are possible here. That is the theta of n square and the n log n is there. So n log n will come if we are going to do the sorting at the time of the insertion, and n square will come after insertion. If we are going to sort that list, then it will come like the n square is there. So both the answers are correct here, A and the C here. So this you have to remember very carefully. Then which of the following is essential for converting an infix expression to the postfix form efficiently? So obviously here the stack is required, but here which stack is required? Operator stack, operand stack, or operand stack and operator stack here. So always we know that here from the infix to postfix is asked here. So in this conversion, operator stack is used here. So answer A is correct here. Now see here. The result of evaluating the postfix expression. This is the expression is given here, and we have to calculate the result of this expression here. So the result of this postfix expression is actually coming like the 142. But how this evaluation is done, you watch the video related with this evaluation, how to do the postfix evaluation. Already I have uploaded that video also, so that this concept will be clear to you. Now the next question is, Q is implemented using an array such that NQ and DQ operations are performed efficiently. Which one of the following statement is correct? NN refers to the number of atoms in the queue here. So here actually both operations can be performed in the big O of 1 time complexity here. This question read carefully, NQ and the DQ in case of the queue using the array is asked here. So we know that in case of the queue here, one end is used for the insertion, one end is used for the deletion. So the time complexity will come in terms of the big O of 1 here. Now, the following sequence of operations is performed on the stack. push 10, push 20, then the pop, then the push 10, then the push 20, and then pop, 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 push 20 and the pop. So what will be the sequence here? So if we are going to follow this sequence here, then answer B will be correct. That is the 20, 20, 10, 10, 20 here. So you solve this, you can easily understand this. Again, the postfix expression for this infix, see here, this infix expression is given and you have to find out here the correct postfix expression here. So for this purpose, you must know first the how to do this conversion, then you can easily find out this here. So the correct answer is mentioned here like the B, but how this will come? You must know for that purpose the expression conversion part here. Similarly, a postfix expression is merely the reverse of the prefix expression, true or false. So it is true actually, because we know that in the postfix expression, the operators are present at the last position, and in prefix expression, operators are present at the first position. So the reverse is possible. So the answer true is correct here. So these are the some sample questions are there. So you have to practice different types of the MCQs related with all these basic concepts here. So I have tried here to cover the important points from this linked list stack and the Q unit, and I have discussed here some few MCQs here. If you are having any doubt after this, then you can anyway anytime contact with me. So thank you very much for watching this video.